Welcome to another episode of Soccerheads New England. I'm Dave Rattigan here with Paul Nardizzi. Jim Ruberti is MIA, missing in action. So check us out at soccerheadsnewengland.com. We have a Facebook page, or email us at soccerheadsnewengland@gmail.com. We appreciate you joining us. Please share us. Paul, before we get to our engineer, Dale, where do you think Jim is right now?
I'm getting nostalgic about the early days of this podcast.
When we knew where he was, when he wasn't here.
Yeah, I mean, just that he wasn't here.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he's making a comeback. Maybe he wants to play men's league soccer, and he's just getting in shape. He's
been on the gym. He's been on the treadmill,
working on his goaltending skills.
Any chance you think that he's sleeping outside, like he got here in his car?
I thought about that. I did. I went up and down the road. I didn't see the car. Right. That little tiny car that he drives. So
you think perhaps maybe he was thrown into a black van and kidnapped?
I'm wondering. It's not like him to not tell us he's not coming.
I know. Usually he
rubs it in that he's not coming.
It's can you imagine?
Can you put a bolo out on him?
For me, we based it on Jim's past behavior, and this is very suspicious. I'm a bit concerned, wholeheartedly concerned about Jim's welfare at this point. I'm not sure where he could be, but he looks like a pretty rugged dude. I'm thinking a car full of kids wouldn't try to kidnap him, but...
Yeah, well, you would think if you're going to be...
Don't they have marshes in the Cape? You could have gone off the road into a marsh right now, something like that, yeah?
Here's the thing, though. You look at Jim... You're a kidnapper.
You got to feed him for a couple of months.
Would you really want to embark on something that's going to... I mean, even if you could get $1 million...
all your ransom money is going to go to his food.
Yeah. So that's our engineer, Dale Lawrence, who's a former police officer. You ever kidnap anyone, Dale?
Not in this country.
All right. You ever do
There's a couple of missing young girls in the Philippines that I don't want to speak to, but...
From your time in the Marines?
Yes.
All right. We also have a guest a little bit later on, Nahuel Viera. Yeah, so we don't know where Jim is, but we think... What are we saying? Marshes? Is that what we've agreed on? He's in a marsh down the Cape?
Yeah, and I feel like next week's rant is going to be about being trapped in a tiny car in a marsh for like 10 hours.
Yeah.
Waiting for the Cape Cod police to...
When you're a guy Jim's size...
assuming it's not submerged.
Every car is tiny. Assuming it's not submerged. Hopefully we'll see Jim again, but he's not here, and we miss him. Anyway, we're going to get to our guest in a second, but anything going on in the world of soccer that we should care about right now, Paul?
Well, Jim was going to do a rant on the Revs. I don't want to steal his thunder. Maybe he'll do it next week.
Okay.
But that's not going well.
It's been quite it's just such a difference from last year.
Yeah.
And last year, it seemed like every time something that could go right, it would. And this year, it seems every time things could go wrong, turnover, a lapse, a crossbar, failed defensive assignment goes against the Revs. But we'll let Jim talk about that next week. We're going to get on to Noel in just a second. But first, plugs. Soccerheads New England is sponsored by financial advisor Rick Spencer. 978-857-7573. Rick speaks at free seminars for soccer clubs, youth leagues, and the public. He will help get your kid into college, athlete or not. Rick is also my financial advisor, and because of him, I'm wearing silk pajamas all day today, right here in the studio, and I am very comfy. Have Rick come speak to your club, team, whatever. 978-857-7573. Our other sponsor, Monster Soccer. For top training, call Bryce Nardizzi at 508-308-4109. Monster Soccer, founded originally by Paul Nardizzi. And Paul, what motivational technique did you use that Bryce doesn't use that you kind of miss? Is it the bamboo pole?
Those were good. Those were helpful. There was also the forced diet of protein. A simple Googling of foods and saying these are the foods you need to eat if you're going to grow. And so he wouldn't eat them. I'd just shove them down his throat.
Did you have somebody hold him while you shoved him down your throat, or did you tie him to a chair?
You just pull his head back. Dale's a cop. He's done this. Just pull the head
torture
back.
Technique, yeah.
Just shove.
Tell us where the missing kid is.
Yeah. Okay. Another way to grow, too, is people don't know is gravity. So if you elevate your mattress, the gravity will pull your growth plates. So I said, you got to grow. He was on a path to be 5'2", so I elevated his mattress. That's not torture.
No,
it's not sleeping on an inclined mattress. No big deal, but it worked. After I did that, there was a noticeable increase in growth.
Really?
So if you're home and your kid's looking like he's going to be a shorty, elevate the mattress.
This is so funny. I'm looking at Paul and I'm thinking, I wonder if this is a true thing.
Oh, this is a fact.
This is a true thing?
Yeah, gravity will pull your growth plates. Absolutely.
Elevate your
yeah, so, a few inches. Yeah.
So if you had a kid and you wanted your kid to play in the NBA as a center, you would say you've got the top bunk.
Yeah. If you're talking that tall, you might have to make that mattress vertical. You might be standing up the entire day.
And they grew.
Oh, I only did it for Bryce.
Okay.
'Cause he wasn't looking like he was going to be a good height.
But it worked.
It did.
How much did you raise him up?
It was 3 or 4 inches.
Just straight up, still a flat bed.
I
but
put a bunch of towels under there, just enough to get the mattress up. And presto, Dale, we had height.
Wow.
I'm 7.5.
That's a good soccer height right there.
Will is my daughter. She's 5'3" plus.
Mm-hmm.
I could have used that about.
It's not
3
too
years
late,
ago.
Dave. It's not too late.
Really?
Yeah.
At 16? I thought girls stopped growing at 16.
They do?
I think so.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm hearing secondhand information. Also, if your organization needs to raise money, you want to have a great time doing it, you should have a Soccerheads comedy night. You get Paul Nardizzi, you get Dave Rattigan, get Jim Ruberti. What could be better than that? Email me at dave@scampscomedy.com, and we could talk about making your community wealthier and having a great time.
So we have a great guest on the line today who actually was born in Uruguay. And I just want to let our listener know Uruguay is a very historic soccer country. They won the first World Cup ever. They won again in 1950 and beat Brazil to the point where the entire country of Brazil was in depression. And the goalie who let up the winning goal died penniless in the streets years later because nobody would feed him or give him a job. Jim always says they blame the goalie. He's right. The whole country blamed the goalie. And also, a lot of people don't know, but that historic, when somebody says goal, that was stolen from an announcer in the 1930s in Uruguay. So it's a great soccer country, huge tradition. And at one point, our guest was about to try out for a team in Uruguay, for a professional team. And if this was a movie, that's how the movie would start. You'd see him about to go out, try out, and then they would pan back to his life and what took him to that moment. And you do have a great story, Noel.
I've heard your story. It's pretty dramatic.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me on the podcast. I really do appreciate it. But yeah, it's a very dramatic story. I mean, it's crazy because first of all, I mean, I was a little kid as we moved here to the United States in 2003. I think I was 4 years old. And it was just a big change for my family because you're coming into a country where you don't know what to expect, not knowing anybody, just coming in, not knowing the language, literally knowing zero, coming in with a couple $100s and figuring out where you're going to start, how you're going to live, how are you going to get your papers to be legal here. So it's been quite a ride. But yeah, we started selling water in the streets. I remember my mom and dad, they were always selling water in the streets 10, 12 hours a day. I remember living in the streets when I was little for probably a couple days out there. So it was a very tough time. And then they transitioned to other jobs as working in McDonald's, Burger King, clean bathrooms.
And
Go ahead.
When you talk about your parents selling water in the streets, they would go out and they would buy spring water, like by the case, and then they would sell it individually?
Correct. We'd have a little cooler with ice. We'd buy the 24 packs of water. I don't remember how much they were at the time, but I'm guessing they were fairly cheap. And we were selling, I think, $1.25, $1.50 each water bottle. And in Florida, it's like really hot out there. So I mean, it was a really good business, to be honest with you guys.
You basically took advantage of lazy people who didn't want to walk to the store down in Florida when there were a lot of lazy people in Florida.
Down in Florida,
just think about you're driving and then you're at a red light and you're just waiting there, especially in Florida where there's a lot of traffic. And you're just, instead of stopping at a gas station, you have somebody coming up to be like $1.25, $1.50 for water. You're going to do that instead of having to stop at the gas station. Save you 2-3 minutes.
And so knowing you, Noel, I have to ask this. I know you're a little kid, but tell me at least a couple times you saw people drink their water, toss their empty, and then you went over and just filled it with the local tap water and sold it again.
If it was me during this age, where I'm at right now, I think I would do that. Not back then.
Yeah,
back then, I was just worried about the money. I was handling the money, so I was too busy counting.
And you were on the streets for a couple of days before you found somebody, and they let you stay with them, or they hooked you up with services?
No, they let us stay with them for a little bit, and then we had some money saved up from that, and we used that to get our own apartment. I don't remember what the deposit was, but I remember we were living on the 3rd floor. It was a very small space, but I mean, it was better than nothing. We had a roof over our heads, so that's all that mattered.
And did you?
And then we worked our way up.
Did you at this time play soccer and knew you wanted to play soccer?
Yeah, I played soccer in Uruguay. I mean, I was only 4 years old. So, I mean, I knew I played soccer, but I never looked at it like I was trying to go professional during that time until I became a little bit older and I was trying to get a little bit more serious. So once we were able to gather some money, they put me on this town team. I think it was a town or a club team, I don't remember. And that's when I just started playing. And that's when my dad realized he's like, oh, he might be something. So they started supporting me. I remember waking up in the mornings, training like at 6 a.m. I hated it. I remember my dad just waking me up with a bucket of ice because I hated training. I just hated it. He literally would grab a bucket and just throw it right on my face, and that would just wake me up instantly. Literally, I wouldn't even brush my teeth. We'd go straight to put my shoes on. We'd go to the field or go for runs, and I'd go back, shower, eat breakfast, and then go to school. And that was literally every single day. And obviously you had to practice in the afternoon.
Dave thought I tortured Bryson Bryant, but I never did anything close to that.
Luckily for Bryson Bryant, he just found out about this now.
Yeah. I mean, boiling water once in a while I'd throw on him, but not the ice.
Boiling water.
Jeez.
Well, and then Noel, what they would do is that the ice would melt, and then he'd come back from soccer practice and go out and sell it. Because they'd melt.
No, it was crazy. It was really crazy. I look back and I'm very grateful for those moments, but I wish I took more advantage of it looking back at it now. I remember we would go to the fields. Like, I'm telling you, we had a field right next to our house. This is fast forward a year or two. We were renting a house out there, and there was a soccer field literally down the street. And we'd go there. I'd come back from school like around 3, 4, and we'd go there and we'd be there from like 4 to 9. Literally, it was crazy. Looking back at it now, I'm very grateful for what my dad did for me, because being out there for 4 to 5 hours just playing. And then there would be pickups over there, and I would always play like with the older guys, with the adults, and I think that helped me a lot.
All right, so then what happened?
Went to other club teams. I scoring goals, assisting. It was actually funny because I remember back now to when I first started playing, they put me in net, and I remember I grabbed the ball, went to the other side of the net where I was supposed to attack. I didn't score. I brought the ball back, scored on my own. And this is before I understood the whole philosophy of soccer. And it was funny looking back at it now. And then nothing. I just worked my way up, got to play higher level out there, academy. And then in 2012, I moved here to Massachusetts just with my mom, because my mom and dad have separated. So it was a big change for me, as I didn't want to leave out there. I'm not gonna say I was fat, but I was always like a chubby kid, and somehow I got away with it in the field. I don't know. I don't know what it was. I was just doing good. But when I moved here, it's when I hit puberty, and I just like got so skinny, so fit, and I just kept playing soccer. And then I moved here and just started playing club from there. I met my best friend Diego. He helped me out to go to the Revs. I got a tryout. I remember now making the team in 2012, because I wasn't fit enough. I remember he told me in the beginning of summer, he's like, hey, look, you're going to get a tryout during this time. Back in that time, I was every game, I'd say. And I didn't train the whole summer. And when the trial came, they liked what they saw, but I just wasn't fit enough. And then that's when I went to Blazers. It was a really good season. I think I went to Bolts pre-academy. The year after that, we went really well. Then went back to Stars. We went nationals, and then after Stars, I went to Revs. Was there for a year playing up. I played with Paul's son, Brian Nardizzi. It was a big change, I'd say, from club to academy, and the level of speed, and that was very helpful. I mean, I think I got off to a great start with the academy. When you're not getting the minutes you want, and you're not getting the playing time, and you don't have your confidence, it's tough to play your best game, right? So I mean, I didn't have that there, so it was very tough for me to show my best quality.
And so you're saying that the Revs Academy is a higher level, and I know probably many soccer people would know this, and it'd be, kind of a slam dunk. Is the Revs Academy the highest amateur level of soccer in Massachusetts?
I personally believe so. I don't know how it is nowadays, because I mean, everything's changed, and with the MLS Next and stuff like that. So I'm not too sure. But during my time when I was playing, I think the Revs was the highest you could get in Massachusetts. Because if you were at the Revs, I think you were a top player in the state. And just the coaches, the environment, like the professional academy, you see the professional players, the professional coaches coming down, helping you, always looking at you. You never know, you get called up to go practice with them. So I do believe I was the highest at that moment.
Okay.
I don't know how it is now. I don't know how the teams are. So I know there's been a lot of changes since then, but I do believe it's the highest.
Okay.
It was the highest during that time.
So you're playing with, and when you mentioned Diego, that's Diego Fagundes, right?
Correct.
Who's now in the MLS. We've youngest, I think, is he still the youngest player to break into MLS?
No, I think there's been a couple players that beat him. I don't know who, but he holds a lot of records for other things. First player to 50-50, the youngest player to 50-50, 50 career goals for the assist. There's a bunch of records that he's broken.
Right.
He's going to continue to break more.
He's had a great career. Now he's off. He's out of market. We don't care about him anymore.
The thing that
we already had him in the interview. We don't care anymore about him.
I was going to say, the thing he talks about the most is coming on Soccerheads New England when he talks about his career.
Oh, yeah. Diego.
Oh, yeah. That's all
yeah.
No, I'm glad you guys were able to have him on the show.
He was actually very funny. Yeah, we liked him.
He was. I remember hearing the whole podcast. I was on my way to North Carolina to go watch his game, and I was listening to it. It was nice to hear till I heard my name a couple times out there.
Yeah,
a couple of things I did on the field.
And you gotta know this. You gotta pass this on to Diego. We'd love to have him on again, but he's gonna have to stop calling Paul at all hours of the day and night, begging him to be back on the show. Because
I'm gonna have Paul block his number. I'll make sure.
That might be a good idea. So you're playing Revs Academy. How old were you at this point?
I was about 17, and I was playing a year up with the U18. Okay. I still had fast forward and I think one thing that my issue was during the academy time. I've always played striker, and I never liked to defend, right? And looking back at it now, I mean, a winger or striker should always try to defend, fall back a lot. So one thing the coach did mention to Diego once he spoke to him, he's like, Noel's a really good player. The only issue is he doesn't defend. And looking back at it now, I see that, and he was right. And he always liked his wingers. We always played a 4-3-3, so he always liked his wingers to drop back a lot. And that was something I never did. So, I mean, I think that played a huge role in me not getting the minutes that I needed or wanted.
True. But, your buddy Brad Knighton mentioned that Boateng plays no defense, and yet he's playing a lot. So, I mean, as long as you're cranking in goals and assists, and
shouldn't matter. The only part that sucks is that I wasn't getting the minutes I wanted, and when I did get my minutes, I wasn't getting my chances. And then I remember I started one game. I think it was like closer to the end of the season. I started a game and I got a goal and an assist in the first 30 minutes that I was in as a starting right wing. I think I was playing. After scoring that, my confidence went way up, and it's good to get your confidence up as a player because that's what you need. Because without confidence, you're not the player you are, and especially when you have like all this pressure on top of you and stuff, it's tough. So scoring that goal helped me a lot, and then it was just weird to me because I had scored that, and then you expect after giving in a good 75 minutes for your first start of the season, and then going back to zero again, it was weird to me. So, I mean, to this day, I don't know why, but it is what it is. I can't go back and change that.
So when Bryant was on the team, once in a while they would give a player, he got it twice, a player the opportunity to go train with the major team, the pro team.
Correct.
Did you ever get that?
No, never. Really? I mean, we had a lot of high players. Think about it, I wasn't getting minutes, so it was tough.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of good forwards. We had Andrew Barrowman, we had Justin Rennicks, we had Isaac Yanking, Bryant, we had Brian Nardizzi, great player. Who else did we have? It was Brito, Vang. There was a lot of great players out there, so it was a lot of competition. And me being the new guy and not having my confidence was very tough. I had my confidence and I had the confidence I needed. I think I would have been a whole different player in that team.
You're a high school kid, and this is where this usually plays out. You're a high school kid, and you go to Division III, and the speed and the size of the players is bigger, and the game is faster. That's always what people say. Is every time you go a level up at any athletic endeavor, it gets the big thing is always the quickness that people talk about.
Right, and you gotta adapt to it, and that too. That's another thing, but. Keep in mind, if you see it with professional soccer players now, they're going into new teams and they don't adapt, and if they don't have the confidence, the coach's confidence, then it's tough to be the player you want to be. It sucks it sucks to look back and say that I could have done a lot more, but everything happens for a reason.
Did the Uruguay thing come before college, or
when I was at Revs? This was my junior year in high school, and then I played my last year. They cut me off the team because obviously I wasn't defending and stuff, so that played a huge role. And things ended very bad. So ever since, I went back to high school soccer. Then I was talking to UMass Lowell to go there, but my grades weren't there, so. I was just all over the place during this time. Then I played a season in Salem, Division III college for the MASCAC. We did really good. I think I got about 9 goals and like 15 assists, something like that. So it was a good season. During that season, my uncle was always telling me in Uruguay, he's like, hey, look, I have this agent here that wants to bring you to play here, this and that. But I mean, in this world, there's a lot of people that talk, but they don't do. So I didn't pay too much attention to it. I was like, oh, this guy's a fraud, this and that. I don't know. I just wasn't in the right mindset. Fast forward 2-3 months later, I'm in Uruguay in end of December with my family. He invites us to go play a pickup game, 11v11. And there was like all professional players from Division 1, from like the reserves. And he saw me playing that same night. I think we started at 6. We finished like around 8:30. He's like, I need you to stay 2 more weeks here. I'll take you to first division. Fast forward 45 minutes later, he gets me a tryout with the best team in Uruguay, which is Peñarol. It's like the Barcelona of it's like the Barcelona of Spain or Real Madrid of Spain, but in Uruguay. And it's either them or Nacional, which are the biggest teams. And he's like, look, I got you a trial with our reserves. And for somebody to go out there and get you a trial that quick is nearly impossible out there, and it's a gift to get that. So So that night, I remember I was like, wow, holy shit, this could actually be my opportunity, right? And I remember I was crying on the floor. I was like, wow, this could like change my life. And this is at 9:45, 10 at night, and I was just sitting alone outside. And then I wasn't in shape. I wasn't in the best shape because when I'm in Uruguay, I mean, first of all, I went to Uruguay to see my family, to eat, enjoy my food, and I never went there to play soccer. So whatever. So I had 4 days to get ready for preseason. So I killed myself for those 4 days. And I get there, and then I remember speaking to Diego's dad I spoke to before going there. He's like, watch, your legs are going to be shaking. You're going to be nervous, this and that. I'm not going to lie, when I got there, I felt the pressure a little bit. But, once you get on the field, it's all over. So I think I did really good. The only issue with me was that was a Monday. I trained all the way till Thursday. Friday, I was supposed to sign. But during that time, I remember in Uruguay, they play very dirty. Not just Uruguay, South America, they play very, very dirty soccer. So, I remember them kicking the shit out of me, this and that, but I didn't say anything. I'm like, all right, this is the soccer here. And fast forward to Thursday, Diego had given me a pair of cleats that were white, red, and blue. So white, red, and blue are the colors of the opposite team, like Peñarol's rivalry team, Nacional, basically. So it's like a Barcelona, Real Madrid, like a different color mix.
Did he know that? Did he know that when he gave you the cleats?
No, but Diego gave me the cleats like when I was in college, just playing, having the season. I never thought about it. I just took those cleats. They were the only cleats I had. So I wore those cleats out there, and they started kicking the shit out of me because I was wearing the colors of the rivalry team. But I didn't know that. It never clicked in my head that they would think of that. So then that Thursday, we finished off with I think it was like a 9v9 on the field or something like that. And I had 4 one-on-ones, and I missed all of them against the goalkeeper. This is what goalkeeper was going up with the first team and stuff. So, it was tough. And I missed 4 one-on-ones, and he finishes the practice and just calls me out in front of everybody. He's like, tell your agent to buy you new cleats or paint them, or you're not coming tomorrow to sign, this and that. That triggered me. He literally ended it like that. So I went to the locker room, I showered, I left. I remember getting on the bus. In the bus in Uruguay, I have no idea where I'm going. And keep in mind, my family was supposed to pick me up, but I think they finished early and then they weren't there. So I just grabbed my stuff, showered, and left. And I started walking towards this bus stop. And I ended up like 30 minutes away from my home somehow. I just got on the bus and was so mad. I wasn't thinking. Fast forward, I get home. I paint my cleats all black. I was out of anger. I was like, I'm going to paint them all black, this and that. Keep in mind, Uruguay is a third world country. So everybody over there was like, no, well, why are you going to come here? You have your life already over there in the United States. It's a first world country. You have everything handed to you. You have your car. You have this. You have your mom, boom, boom, boom. And everybody here is like, if that's your dream, you got to go chase it. You stay over there. And I was only 17, 18 at the time. So I don't have the mindset I have now, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
But during that time, there was a lot of pressure for me, just hearing things from one side and then hearing things from the other side.
Well, this is a huge decision to make. I mean,
it's a huge decision. Yes. Keep in mind, I'm going into a country where they could offer me a contract, and then a year later, I could just be left with no team, or who knows what could happen. I could get an injury, and then I have to come back home and start my life all over again. So many voices in my head telling me this, telling me that. Keep in mind, my whole family is a supporter of Nacional. They hate Peñarol. That's another worst part of it. Mm-hmm. So that night, my cousin's like, hey, Nahuel, come sleep over. You'll get picked up for practice, this and that. So my cousin's best friends were like, they're basically family to me, and they're all Nacional supporters out there. So we stayed there, and they were all over my head. They're like, why the fuck are you going to come here to play, this and that, boom, 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 just bringing me down all over again. We went to bed at 6 a.m. that day. I had practice at 9. I didn't wake up for practice. I didn't go sign, nothing.
Jeez, I would have dumped a bucket of ice in your head if I was out there with you.
Right. No, and then I think I woke up at 4 p.m. that day, and I had 20 missed calls from the agent. And my family was texting me, why the fuck are you doing this? My uncle over there was so pissed off. He's like, you're putting him in such a difficult position. Because think about you being the agent, you're bringing in a player into a big, big team out there, and how hard it is to get into a team. Mm-hmm. And he just lets you down like that. Obviously, it's not a good place for him to be. And ever since that night, he took me out to dinner. He's like, look, we need to sit down and actually figure out what you want to do. Because I believe it. He had he was 100% in for me. He's like, I know you can make it. I know you can make it. If you focus, you'll make it. Boom, whatever. And come to find out, I told him, I was like, yes, I'll stay. I told him in my head, I was like, yes, I'll stay. I gave him the decision. He makes a phone call to, I don't know who it was, the president of the reserves. I have no idea who it was, but I know it was somebody involved that was high up there. And they said, no, he's not coming back. That's a big disrespectful thing to do to the club. And he's 100% right. You don't do that, especially to the biggest club in Uruguay. That's where everything went. And then I just live with the regret of not knowing what could have happened.
Well, everything happens for a reason, like you
everything
said.
happens for a reason, yes.
And then you transition for a little while to a different sport, all right? A sport of hunting.
Sport of hunting.
And many people, this is an old joke that people say deer hunting's not a sport because the deer doesn't know it's playing. I agree. Like the least you guys could do when you get out in the woods is blow the whistle and let them know that the game has started.
They just start fucking running.
So tell us about your little deer hunting, which was in the news, so you're not telling anything on it.
Yeah, okay. I'm aware.
I don't know if Dale wants to read you your Miranda rights before you start.
Oh, we're good. I think he's fine.
Dale's a former cop, so.
Yeah, he's fine.
I think they read my Miranda rights enough already. But all right, so I got into hunting, and I fell in love with hunting. Honestly, just being in the woods, so quiet, so peaceful. That's where all my problems go away. Basically, that was my soccer age during that time. It was just so peaceful. I was putting in so many hours. It's very expensive, honestly, to hunt.
Is it?
You're going from buying hunting license to buying crossbows, bows, guns,
pretty cheap
tree
for the deer,
stands,
though, isn't
trail cameras. Yeah, it's pretty cheap to the deer. It doesn't not to them.
Plus, you got to pay for your deer urine. You've got to
say it again.
You got to pay for what is it you're pouring yourself? Deer urine, right?
Yeah, you got to get deer urine. Usually you get it from the deer itself.
Well, I figured if it was me, I would just go to the hunting store and buy some deer urine, pour it all over me, spritz a little on Paul.
It's not as effective as the original one. I was getting it from them themselves.
What about
whatever. So
yeah.
So it's a lot of money, and there's hunting can get very frustrating. You could put in about 100 hours a week in the tree stand and not see a single fucking thing, and then that one day that you don't go is when they show up. So it's a very frustrating sport. There's a lot to it. The wind matters, the weather. Your smell, what you're wearing, it's just, there's so much to it. It's crazy. One day I started learning about how easy it could be to hunt from a vehicle at night. So I did some research on YouTube, this and that. Fast forward to this past year where I was going through a tough time in my life. Hunting was the only thing getting me away or getting me distracted. I started hunting from a vehicle with a flashlight, with a crossbow. And I'm sure you guys know this story because you've seen it on the news, but I got caught poaching, and I actually ended up shooting a fake deer, which was a decoy. That's the craziest part, but it was this night. I just went out there and I seen this deer in the field, but I was in my blue car, which did not have the items that I needed to kill that deer. So I turned around, I called a friend of mine, get my truck ready. We went to get my truck, come back, and I'm looking at this deer, and there's something in my head just telling me, like, this is not right. This is like, what it's like, that voice you have in your head that's just telling you that something's not right.
Yeah, the voice in your head that says this deer is in the exact same position that it was before.
Literally, it did not move
30 minutes ago.
And I'm over here looking at it with my rangefinder 40 yards out. I'm looking at it. I'm like, something's off. Something's not right. And then I see the deer, and then I grab my crossbow and I'm looking at him through the scope, and I get this deer just like, it moves. The head moves. The tail starts moving. And I'm like, damn it. I was like, fuck, I gotta shoot. So I press the trigger, I shoot, I miss. It goes right under his belly. I only had one arrow told my friend, I was like, turn around, let's go. I gotta go with another arrow. My house being 2 minutes away.
Why wouldn't you just bring a bunch of arrows?
I don't know. I thought I needed just one shot. I mean, I was good like that.
Okay, so then you come back and the deer's still in the same place.
No. So then my friend turns around the vehicle, and we have 6 environmental police cops behind us.
Oh, you didn't get you didn't get a chance to get the other arrow.
No, I didn't even get another chance to shoot at the deer. And then that's when we got caught. It was all over the Massachusetts hunting pages on Facebook, this and that. And everything just went downhill from there. 42
what are the environmental cops like? Are they like regular cops?
Oh, they're clowns. Yeah. They're clowns. They're straight clowns. But yeah, it was a horrible experience that I actually never got myself involved with, but it's a life learning experience as well.
They didn't feed you when you were in prison?
Nope, not at all. Really? I didn't drop the soap either.
Give you a little venison or something, just
I know.
for the irony.
No, yeah, and then the next morning they came to my house. They confiscated. What's that word?
Confiscated your stuff.
Confiscated everything, like $3,000 worth of stuff. Oh, wait, I missed a part out. So that same day, earlier in the day, I went to Connecticut to take my deer to get one of the deers that I had killed to get mounted through a taxidermist. Right? Took it. I got everything there. He's like, how do you want it? I'm like, I want it like this. And then I asked him, I was like, oh, what can I do with the legs? Because I want to do like a gun holder with the legs or something like that. And I was like, how much do you charge for the leg? He goes, $150 per leg. I'm like, holy shit, that's fucking expensive. That's more expensive than mounting the deer itself. So I was like, you know what? I was like, can you cut the legs up for me? I'll take it home and I'll do a gun holder myself and watch a YouTube video or something just to entertain myself, right? And he's like, yeah, I'll cut up the legs for you. Boom, boom, boom. Cuts the legs, puts them in a white bag. I put them in the back of my truck. Fast forward back to that night. I never took the white bag with the deer's legs.
Oh, she didn't.
I didn't. And the cops are like, what's that in the back? and makes me look worse when they're like, they just see deer legs on a fucking white trash bag. So yeah, that just made that just put myself in a whole different position as well.
And you were looking at jail time for this?
It was supposed to be like 90 days or something like that, but I ended up getting some probation. I think probation for like 6 months, 100 hours of community service. What else did I get? And then I had to pay like some fines.
You might want to switch back to soccer.
Yeah, I think I'm going to switch back to soccer or coaching or something to get my mind off of it. The hunting season is starting soon, so I don't know. We might have to run it back again. It was just a mess, but I mean, it cost me a lot of money, so I don't know. I'm just glad it's over with.
Yeah, it sounds awful.
So now
it was awful, and the best part is my mom still hasn't found out, so let's keep it that way. She doesn't know English, so we're good. So a funny thing I was telling my girlfriend, it was what was I telling her? I was like, so usually when you're hunting, they so like when you're hunting in the woods, they put like no hunting or private property, this and that. I feel like now they're literally gonna be putting my face instead of the private property signs. They're gonna be putting no hunting for this guy. This and that. They're gonna have my face there for sure.
Before we let you go, Noel,
go ahead.
We want to just ask you about your you're kind of an infamous soccer player, if we could say so.
Not infamous, just smart.
You trademarked a little move that I discussed with Diego, where you take two fingers and you kind of insert them in the opponent's something or other. You've done that. You've had a slew of red cards this season.
Oh yes, we definitely got to talk about those. So my uncles always taught me to play dirty. Especially in Uruguay, I mean, you're always playing dirty, punching people in the ribs during a corner, stuff like that. So I remember they were always like, during the Salem State season, they're like, we were playing Framingham on the semifinals, and I remember they put me on like their biggest kid or something like that.
Yeah, and Ken, like, you were covering Ken.
Yeah, they were like, no, you got to get in his head. So I was like, I got to get in his head for him to get a red or something like that. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do what my uncles taught me and just fucking put my fingers up, as weird as it sounds, finger him and get in his head. So I remember I was in the moment because I just had to score. So I'm like, all right, I got to get in this motherfucker's head just real quick, get him out of the game. So I think there was a free kick. And I remember I was defending. They put me on him. So I was defending. And right before the ref blows the whistle, I just go behind him and I just do it. I was like, the weirdest sounds, like send it, and he just turns around and just punches me so hard in my balls. Like I was on the ground for like about 10 minutes. People thought I was like exaggerating. Like I've never gotten hit so hard ever. I thought I was literally never gonna have kids ever again.
Well, did the ref see what led to it, or did he see the punch, or he saw nothing?
No, he didn't see what I did. Okay. He saw what he did, but he only gave him a yellow. But yeah, that wasn't the first time. There was a couple other times I did it. I did it to like this Wichita State kid. This guy was like 6'9". I actually got scared. But so recently I've been playing, obviously, in my career. Like I don't even think I just had a soccer career, but whatever. Fast forward, I'm playing in a Sunday league now, right? I've been playing for Leominster FC for about a year and a half to 2 now. And first game of the season this year, we started losing 1-0 in this match. I took a free kick, I hit the post, and then everything just went downhill with them. They were just talking shit to me, this and that. And this guy just comes up to me. He's like, I fucked the shit out of your mom. And I was like, oh no, you fucking, like, if you mention my mom, that's when you just cross the line. And I went and I just clipped him from behind like so hard right in front of the ref. The ref gave me a yellow, whatever. So let's say we were not having a good game, and I get one of the balls. They give me the ball.
No, this is the next game now?
No, they're in the same game.
He didn't get thrown out?
Same game. No, that was a yellow.
A yellow? Oh, okay.
I killed him from behind. And this guy's like 6'6", 6'7". He was pretty big.
You're only 5, whatever. 5.
I'm only 5'6", 5'7".
Yeah.
So I don't care. He was double my size, but whatever. So tackle him, get the yellow. So next play, I get the ball, and I have like nobody's moving, and I'm taking on like these 4 guys, and I just beat 3 of them, and then one of them just puts their body in front of me and just hits me so hard in the stomach, just trying to defend the ball. And I was like, you know what, fuck you, and I just killed him from behind with both legs, and just like scissored him just quick from the back, and he drops, and then they gave me the ref comes at me, everybody starts coming at me, and then I see the first guy that I clipped. He's like, what the fuck's your problem? And I remember looking up at him, I grabbed his shirt, and I just swung. I just took a punch, and I just hit him so hard. And then I see 4 or 5 of his teammates coming at me, and I'm like, oh fuck. I'm like, this is it. And I got prepared. In the moment I was heated, so I got prepared. But they didn't end up doing anything. But whatever. Conclusion is, I got a red. Suspended for 2 games, right? I come back after the 2-game suspension. We're playing this game. We start winning 1-0. I scored, then they tied it 1-1. Then I scored again, 2-1. Then they tie it 2-2. Then I have a breakaway, just me and the goalkeeper.
Let me guess the ending. So you dribble up to him and you stick 2 fingers up his butt, and then you place it in the corner.
No. Unfortunately, no, it wasn't that. But no, so I'm going 1-1 against the keeper, and it's literally like 85th, 86th minute, and I'm going against the keeper 1-on-1. So if somebody tackles you from behind, it's a straight red, especially in a 1-on-1. This guy just comes out of nowhere and just kills me from my side, just kills me. And I'm like, what the fuck's your problem? Boom, boom, boom. And I just grabbed it and I just swung again, just boom. This guy wasn't 6'6", he was like 6'3", 6'2", so it wasn't that bad. But I grabbed his shirt, just swung another one, just boom, just hit him. And then his teammate comes from my side and just punches me from the side. And that one hurt. I'm not gonna lie, that one hurt. And whatever. So a red here, red there. There was like 3-4 red cards in the last minute of the game. The game finished because I think 5-6 players got reds from both teams. Come to find out, I got suspended for 8 games after that one for being my second violent conduct in the league. Wow. Now, if I get another red card, just a regular red card, I'm suspended from the league. I'm like, let's just say it was a bad time in my life that I was going through right there. I think it was like in May, like April, May. Yep. Yeah, so I was going through a bad incident. So I was just taking my anger out in the field.
I told him to stop deer hunting, get back on the field. Now that's clearly not. Where should we send this guy, to the ocean?
I think we should do golf. I think we should do golf.
Good.
Oh, you don't want to.
Yeah.
Oh no, trust me.
Might not be a good thing.
I've done golf, and that is probably the hardest sport there is. Like, I've never gotten so mad at a sport in my life.
Yeah, the golf.
Not even deer hunting.
If you're having an issue with red cards with soccer, I think golf is just so much worse because it basically puts a weapon in your hand and just frustrates you. So, as soon as you think you're going to do well, that's the problem with golf.
I'm still trying to figure out what I should do. I think I'm going to stick to my business and just keep it there.
Good idea. Noel, thank you very much for joining us.
You want to just quickly plug your clothing line? You have a sporting clothing line?
Oh, yeah, my clothing brand. Yes, of course. So I have a clothing brand that I've had for 3 years. I just dropped it this past spring. I never dropped it 3 years ago just due to some stuff that I was going through. Just didn't have the confidence in me to drop it, to release it. And then recently I released it. So today we just dropped our second drop, which is our summer drop. It's called Figurati Apparel. So Figurati is an Italian word that stands for imagining. So I always thought that you could be anything you imagine in life, and there's no limit to it, no matter as long as you work hard for it. So I mean, that's the slogan of the brand. So yeah, we just released our summer drop today. There's some cool stuff out there if you guys want to check it out. The website name Figurati Apparel.
How do you spell it?
FIGURATI apparel.com.
And if I had to guess, I'm guessing that you only sell red and yellow in colors.
Only for you, Paul.
And camouflage, because he's got all that camouflage.
I'm going to get something camouflage. Don't worry. Trust me.
All right.
All right, guys. Thank you for having me.
Thanks. Okay. And Paul, we're going to wrap up, but before we wrap up, you've got a wide world of soccer news for us.
I do, Dave.
Oh, that's great.
And Dave and Dale.
That's the best news ever.
Well, I look for these stories. Sometimes it's a slow news week. But what I noticed was that the corporate headquarters of Whole Foods, we like our Whole Foods here in Beverly, right?
Yes, we do. Yeah. Very healthy.
They were having a soccer match against Stop and Shop corporate. So I said, I need to go check this game out. I'm a big Whole Fooder. I like to eat healthy. I thought Whole Foods is going to absolutely destroy those junk food eaters over at Stop and Shop. Oh, you would think so.
Junk food junkies.
Yeah.
Stop and Shop.
I admit, I don't go. I'm pretty sure every other aisle is candy, isn't it? At Stop and Shop?
Yeah, pretty much.
Captain Crunch. And,
it's terrible.
I want to take a look at some of the Stop and Shop baggers, too. I'm going to look too athletic to me.
They serve terrible things there. They serve milk. They serve red meat, hamburgers.
Cigarettes and lottery tickets. That's what we're talking about. So I pull into the parking lot, and it was kind of a microcosm of the two stores. The Whole Foods players all parked neatly in their spots, and the Stop and Shop did double parked in 2 spots. The engines are running. There's fumes coming out of the friggin' diesel pipe. One girl car hadn't been inspected since 2016. This is Stop and Shop, okay? Like I said, my prediction was Whole Foods is just going to wrap them. It's going to be over quick. Boy, was I wrong. Stop and Shop. I figured early on they might be able to hold their own. A couple of burly cashiers on the back line. Maybe you got the goaltender looked pretty good. She probably stocked shelves. She had a decent pair of hands. Whole Foods, although you eat healthy, there's not enough carbs, you have no energy, and you have no strength. They got tossed around by the Stop and Shoppers.
Oof.
Absolutely tossed around.
Not enough girth.
No, none. It was 3-0 at halftime. I was cheering them on. I had my Whole Foods shirt on. I'm like, come on, we can do this. It got really ugly in the second half. The final score was 7-1. The only reason they scored 1 is because Stop and Shop, they started drinking with about 10 minutes left, and they kicked one in their own net. It was an absolute disaster. Whole Foods should be ashamed of themselves. I hope next year we can put a better performance on. I was not happy.
That's quite a game.
It was at a high school up in the North Shore, and they play every year, and it weren't good.
You know something? I'm a little bit surprised that Whole Foods would have that beating. But again, Stop and Shop, they hire a lot of, let's call them street kids.
They were tough.
They tough. A lot of inner city Stop and Shop. You
arguing with the ref the whole time.
I don't think you ever see inner city Whole Foods.
Not many.
And so I don't know. I'm not sure that I would not bet a lot of money on Whole Foods versus Stop and Shop. I hope you didn't bet.
I didn't bet.
That's it for this episode of Soccerheads New England. We'll be back next week. I'd like to thank financial advisor Rick Spencer. Call him at 978-857-7573. And soon you too will live like Jim Ruberti, Commodore for the grandest yacht club on a lake in Centerville, Cape Cod, Massachusetts, where there are subs at Subway longer than some of the boats at that boat club that he's a Commodore.
It's kayak country over there.
It is. Also, Monster Soccer. For top training, call Bryce Nardizzi at 508-308-4109. And for taller children, raise their beds. Don't forget, for fundraising, the Soccerheads Comedy Night, we can do a comedy night that's going to make you happy, make your people happy. We can use some little soccer-themed humor and help you raise as much cash as we can. Email me, Dave, at scampscomedy.com for that. Paul Nardizzi, the missing Jim Ruberti. I'm Dave Rattigan, and our engineer, Dan Lawrence. This has been Soccerheads New England.